Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today we're diving deep into one of the most pressing questions in South African politics right now: who could possibly succeed Cyril Ramaphosa as the leader of the African National Congress, and more importantly, who among them has the vote-winning power to actually lead the party into the 2029 general elections? As we all know, the ANC has been on a steep decline, struggling to maintain its majority and public trust. In the 2019 elections, the party's performance was largely credited to President Cyril Ramaphosa's personal popularity. Even though there were internal disputes about just how much of an impact Ramaphosa had, it's undeniable that he helped the ANC survive what could have been a disastrous election. But now, Ramaphosa's image has taken heavy blows. His handling of corruption, and most notably the Fikile scandal, has damaged both his credibility and the party's public image. And that means the ANC must now look toward 2027, when it will choose a new leader at its national elective conference. That leader won't just inherit the party, they'll likely be the presidential candidate for 2029. Which brings us to today's big question: who are the frontrunners, and what do they really bring to the table? Let's unpack the top 5 names currently swirling around in political circles. Deputy President Paul Mashatile, Minister of International Relations Ronald Lamola, Minister of Electricity and Energy Kgosientsho Ramokgopa, Police Minister Senzo Mchunu, and ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula. We begin with Paul Mashatile. As Deputy President, one would expect him to be the obvious heir to Ramaphosa. But his political presence is weak. Mashatile has not articulated a clear vision, nor does he come across as charismatic or dynamic in public. His speeches in English are often dry and uninspiring. His answers in Parliament don't grab attention or shift narratives. On top of that, he's been plagued by reports of shady financial dealings and has not adequately responded to the violent conduct of his security detail, who were caught on camera assaulting civilians. Without a clear message or campaign strategy, Mashatile risks becoming a non-entity in the eyes of the public. And in today's era of personality-driven politics, that could be a fatal flaw. Next is Ronald Lamola. At 41, Lamola is a generational outlier in the ANC, young, legally trained, and relatively clean when compared to his peers. He's currently serving as the Minister of International Relations and Cooperation. While his portfolio doesn't get him in front of domestic audiences often, Lamola did get some spotlight during South Africa's genocide case against Israel at the International Court of Justice. That kind of international statesmanship could appeal to more progressive and urban voters. But here's the catch: he still has questions to answer about how his law firm failed to detect major corruption in the National Lotteries Commission when it was hired to investigate. If Lamola wants to be taken seriously, he'll need to address that shadow hanging over him. Nonetheless, his youth and relatively unblemished record may give him an edge among young voters who have grown tired of the ANC's older, scandal-prone leadership. Now, let's talk about Kgosientsho Ramokgopa, the man most closely associated with the country's electricity crisis, and for good reason. As Minister of Electricity, his success or failure is measured directly by the severity of load shedding. But unlike many in the ANC, Ramokgopa is a skilled communicator. He's clear, present, and makes sure the government and Eskom maintain control of the narrative, even when things go wrong. His technocratic style could be a breath of fresh air, especially for black professionals and middle-class voters who want competence over charisma. If he continues making progress on reducing blackouts, he might become the face of a reformed, capable ANC. But that's a big if, because any setbacks on electricity could destroy his credibility just as quickly. Then there's Senzo Mchunu. He offers something different: regional strength. As a former ANC provincial secretary in KwaZulu-Natal, Mchunu has deep roots in a province that has shifted its political loyalties several times over the years. Under Jacob Zuma, KZN stood solidly behind the ANC. Under Ramaphosa, support waned. And now, Zuma's MK party has taken a serious chunk of the vote. Mchunu could be key to winning KZN back. But nationally, he's hampered by his portfolio as Minister of Police. Violent crime remains one of South Africa's greatest problems, and his inability to reduce it weakens his broader appeal. If he can show meaningful progress in crime prevention, it would boost his profile significantly. But like Ramokgopa with energy, he's tied to a massive crisis that may not be easily resolved before 2027. Finally, we have Fikile Mbalula, a name that sparks strong opinions wherever it goes. As the current ANC Secretary-General, Mbalula is well placed within the party machinery, and that alone could give him significant influence in the leadership race. He has been trying to shift his image from that of a loud, impulsive minister to a more mature, statesman-like figure. But here's the problem: South Africans have long memories, and Mbalula's track record isn't helping him. Whether it was tweeting bizarre travel updates like, just landed in Ukraine, illegally placing Prosa under administration, or receiving a paid holiday from a sports gear company while serving as Minister of Sport, Mbalula's list of controversies is long. Add to that his vulgar exchanges with taxi drivers that even the South African Council of Churches condemned, and it's hard to see how he turns the tide of public opinion in his favor. While he might still win support within the ANC thanks to his strategic positioning, the broader electorate may not be as forgiving. So, what does all this mean for the ANC and the country? Well, one would think that after the party's worst electoral performance since 1994, the ANC would be urgently focused on finding a leader who can appeal to voters and rebuild trust. But history tells us a different story. Internal ANC dynamics, factional loyalty, backroom deals, and personal networks often matter more than electability. This raises the real risk that the ANC might choose a leader who appeals to its own insiders rather than the South African public. And as it stands, none of the current frontrunners possess the magnetic, unifying quality that Ramaphosa once did, and even he has lost much of that shine. If the ANC fails to pick a leader who can connect with ordinary South Africans, who can speak plainly, act decisively, and rebuild broken institutions, it could very well find itself sliding further into electoral irrelevance. That's the state of play in South African politics as we head toward 2027 and beyond. Who the ANC chooses to lead it next could very well decide whether the party survives another decade in power or continues its slow collapse into fragmentation and defeat. Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Who do you think should lead the ANC next, and who do you think will? Let us know your thoughts. See you next time.